Welcome to How to Play Piano Lesson 21, where we're going to have a look at a new type of note, the quaver note, or in some parts of the world this is called an eighth note. Let's get ready and learn to play together by firstly checking in with your posture. Make sure your back is straight and your neck is long. Your feet are giving you stability because they're flat on the floor. You've got forearms angled down towards the keys or level with the keys. Lovely relaxed wrists, dome-shaped hands and curved fingers. You're also feeling positive and focused and ready to learn some new skills. Let's warm up. We'll do our C major warm-up, hands together, 1 octave, parallel motion. I'll do 1 first and then we'll do 3 together. Off I go. Let's do 3 together. 1, 2, 3, 4. Excellent. Now let's do 3 of the contrary motion. Same tempo. Off we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. And let's do our C major arpeggios. I'll do 1 first and then we'll do 3 together. Here I go. Let's do 3 together. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3. Now let's have a look at our G major scale. Again, we'll do the same thing. 1 octave, 2 hands together, parallel motion. I'll do 1 first and then we'll do 3 together. Here I go. Let's do 3 together. 1, 2, 3, 4. Excellent. Let's do 3 of the contrary motion, where we start in the middle, go out and then come back. I'll do 1 and then we'll do some together. Here we go. Let's do 3 together. 1, 2, 3, 4. Excellent. And today we're going to do our G major arpeggios, 2 hands together, 1 octave. It's exactly the same really as the C major, same fingering, and we've got a space of 1 white note between the 2, and we're just going up 1 octave. I'll do 1 and then we'll do 3 together. As you can see, we're playing the notes G, B, D. Let's do 3 together. 1, 2, 3, 4. 3. And we're warmed up. Have a pause and have a play if you think any of your scales need a little bit more practice. Let's look at today's expressive piece. Last time we focused on your interaction with the keys, and again that lovely relaxed wrist movement, engaging our hearing to become aware of the connection between the way we approach the keys and the sound that the piano makes, moving smoothly from one key to another using a detached articulation and the fingers indicated on the sheet music, creating those lovely flowing coordinated hand gestures so that you can't tell when the right hand and the left hand are swapping roles, and engaging your imagination so that you hear the music in your head before it comes out of your fingers. And we had a look at playing the gradually softer dynamic to add some expression to our music. We played the short piece Silver Sledges. Today we're going to look at how to incorporate our second dynamic, the gradually louder dynamic, into our music, and how we can use the gradually louder and the gradually softer dynamics to start to create some musical phrases within the music that we play. Here's today's song, Pussycat. It's about a cat and a goat, an unusual combination of our four-legged friends, but there you go. You can see that we've got calm indicated at the top of our music, so we don't have to play 1,000 miles an hour. We've got our two staves both in the treble, so our left and our right hand are reading treble notes. We've got a 3/4 time signature, so we're counting 3 beats in the bar. If you scan across the music, you can see we've got our hands alternating. We've got our right hand first, then a couple of notes with our left hand, then our right hand again, and another couple of notes with our left hand. And you can see that we've also got gradually louder and gradually softer dynamic markings in our music. Here's my demo. Let's go through the music a bit at a time. You can see in our first couple of bars we've got our right hand playing with our second finger on 2 G crotchet notes to start with. 1, 2, followed by an A. Then in the next bar we've got a B and 2 Gs. Then we've got 2 A's as crotchets, and then again followed by a B and a G, and then 2 rests while our left hand takes over. I'll play that little bit again. You'll see again, I'm thinking about pressing down the keys as if they're a flexible surface with the weight of my arm travelling through my relaxed wrists into my strong curved fingers to create a much more lyrical and gentler sound. When we get to the end of the right hand part, we've got our left hand playing 2 D notes. And we've got a gradually louder. In order for that dynamic to be heard, we gradually press a little bit more firmly with each note until then we get to our 4th bar and we've got a decrescendo. So we're gradually increasing the sound as we go through that phrase, and then we die away again. In the second half of the piece, we've got something very similar. The notes look almost the same. We've got our right hand with the crescendo again. This time, instead of finishing off on our B, we've got our A note and up to 2 Ds with our little finger, and then finishing off with a couple of notes in our left hand. And again, we've got a crescendo. So we start off and then gradually increase the amount of arm weight. Increase the amount of arm weight that you're channeling into your fingers to gradually make each of those notes a little bit louder than the previous note. And then at the end you do the opposite. You gradually decrease the amount of arm weight that you're channeling through your wrist to make sure the sounds become gradually softer. Have a pause and have a play of Pussycat, remembering to be mindful of your interaction with the keys, those lovely relaxed wrists, listening to the sound coming out of your piano, moving smoothly from one key to the next, creating those coordinated hand gestures, hearing the sound in your head before it comes out your fingers, and incorporating the gradually louder and the gradually softer dynamic into our tune. Off you go. Now that we've come across gradually louder and gradually softer dynamics in our music, we can start to talk about phrasing. And phrasing in music is a little bit like sentences in English. There are many different ways you could perform your interpretation of Pussycat. I suppose what we don't want to happen is for it to be one continuous note, one after the other, played very robotically at the same level of sound, so that it all sounds very, very uninteresting. Like this. I always think it's a little bit like conversation. We don't talk to people with the same tone and the same level of sound all the time. That wouldn't be very interesting to listen to. When we generally speak to people, our voice goes up and goes down. We have lilts, we have highs, we have lows, we speak faster, we speak softer. It's exactly the same in music. If we have a look at our line of music, Pussycat, we can see that we've actually got 2 phrases within that one line. It's almost like that line of music represents a little paragraph, and we've got two sentences that make up that paragraph. Phrase 1 is the first idea, and phrase 2 is the second idea. They're both fairly similar. And we can use our gradually louder and our gradually softer dynamics to shape the phrase. And if we have a look at phrase 1, the shape of that phrase is to have a very soft dynamic, and then we get gradually louder, and then at the end we get gradually softer again. So we've got this gradually louder, building up, building up, building up, and dying away, dying away, dying away shape of our phrase. And that's a fairly common phrase shape in classical music. You gradually build up to the most important point or the main point of your phrase or your musical sentence, and then you die away a little bit at the end. So our first phrase, we're building up, and then the idea finishes. So that's the end of that first phrase in that little piece of music. Then we've got our second phrase. Again, the idea builds up to the main note, which would be those Ds. So we're building up our phrase to this main climactic moment, and then we've got a couple of we've got a decrescendo at the end to round off that phrase. And that's how we can start to make our music come alive, so that it's not robotic, one note after another, but it's lyrical. It has ebbs and flows, it has emotion, it has meaning, it tells a story. It really helps to be able to shape your phrases and bring out your phrases if you can hear what you think that they should sound like in your head. So engage your hearing, engage your imagination, and that way the musical phrases have more chance of coming out your fingers. Another really great way to get phrasing incorporated into your music is to sing along with what you play. You'll be amazed at how your fingers tend to follow what you're singing. And the highs and the lows, the ebbs and the flows will come out your fingers as your hands follow your voice. So have another pause and have another play, and be really mindful of shaping the two phrases in our little piece of music today, Pussycat. Last time we looked at the gradually louder and gradually softer dynamics when we played the little tune Waltz Time. Have a pause and have a play and see how you go. Here's my interpretation. And I'm done. How did your interpretation compare with mine? Were your right-hand interval notes sounding at the same time? Could you hear the level of sound changing as you played gradually louder and then became gradually softer? Was your left-hand melody coming out a little bit more deeply than your right-hand accompaniment? Was the music flowing along? Could you play from start to finish at a consistent tempo without stops and starts? If you're not sure about how you're going with this tune or any others that you've been learning, remember you can always send me your audio or video recordings for free coaching and feedback. Why not post a video of your performance onto our How to Play Piano and Keyboard private Facebook gallery? Here's today's song, entitled A Simple Gift. Let's have a look at the sheet music as a whole. At the very top of our music, we've got the tempo marking moderately slow and an indication that this is a folk melody. You can see we've got the treble and bass clefs, so we're playing right hand, left hand. We've got a key signature, or we actually haven't got any key signature, there's no sharps and flats at the start of the music, and because we've got a C note at the beginning of our first bar, and we're finishing on a C chord in the left and a middle C note in the right, it looks like this particular tune is in the key of C major. We've got a time signature of 4/4, so we're counting 4 beats in a bar. If you have a look through the music, you can see we've got a P symbol at the start, so this is going to start off fairly softly, this little tune. We've got gradually louder and gradually softer markings, great big long legato slurs, which might correspond to our phrasing. We don't know yet, we'll find that out as we go through our little song. We've got some rests, crotchet rests, and we've got a minim rest in there as well. It looks like our melody is in the right hand, and our left hand's playing a few little chords that will accompany our melody. In the last line, we've got the word ritardando, second time ritardando, ritardando meaning gradually slower. We've got repeat dots, so this little tune will need to be repeated. And just above our very last note and our very last chord, we've got a semicircle with a dot underneath it. That's called a pause. More about everything that's going on in the last line later. Here's my demo of a simple gift. And I'm done. Let's have a look at the sheet music in more detail. In line 1, as you can see, we're starting off with our left hand. Our left hand isn't starting on beat 1, but it's starting on beat 4. That first note in the left hand is a G with our fourth finger. It's a crotchet, it's worth 1 beat. And it will therefore come on beat 4, and it's a little pickup note. At the beginning of the first bar, we've got our thumb on middle C, and then the melody transfers over to our right hand. When we've got alternating playing in this manner, sometimes it's much more straightforward to play those hands together, even though our hands aren't really playing together, but to follow along with what the music has written down. So let's have a look at what's going on from the start. We've got that G in our left on beat 4, middle C on beat 1 with our thumb, and then we come to a new type of note. I'll play the rest of that bar for you. We've got middle C followed by D, and then we've got an E with our third finger, back to C, and then we're going up to E again, and F. That's taken care of the notes in that bar. What about this new type of note? This new type of note that's got a stem connecting our two what look like crotchet notes are actually called quaver notes or eighth notes. Each one of those notes is only worth half a beat. So one crotchet can be divided up into 2 quavers, or 2 quavers equals 1 crotchet if you want to look at it that way. That means we need to play 2 of those notes in every 1 beat. And to make that more straightforward, it can often be very helpful, instead of counting just the main beats, 1, 2, 3, 4, it can be quite helpful to break those beats up and count 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, to give us a really good idea of whereabouts those notes come so we can get the rhythm happening. I'm going to do that first little bit again, starting with my G, and I'm going to count the ands. 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. I'll do that again. 4 and, remember that's a crotchet, it lasts for a whole beat. 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. In the next bar, we've got our little finger on G. That's a crotchet, so it'll last for a whole beat. 1 and. In the second beat, we've got 2 quavers. 2 and crotchet. 3 and 4 and. So you can see it's really quite helpful to add in those ands so that you know when to play those half notes. In summary, a quaver or an eighth note is worth half a beat. There are 2 quavers in a crotchet. We need to play 2 notes in every 1 beat. and we break a beat up by putting in the word and. I'll play that first line again. 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. You have a turn counting all of those ands. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Good. Me again. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Good. You again. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, 4 and. Excellent. You can also see in that line we've got a gradually louder symbol, so a crescendo. So as we go up those quavers, we're going to have to press a little bit more deeply on each successive note, channel more arm weight through our wrist and into our fingers to make the sound come out a little bit more deeply as we move along that little passage. Let's have a look and see that legato slur, if that matches a phrase line. So I'll put those two things into my thinking. I'll put a crescendo in and I'll think about that first phrase. 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and. Yes, it probably does match up with the first phrase. 1 and da-da-dee. So we could think of that big legato slur as showing us the first phrase in our little tune. Let's have a look at the left hand. We've already done our little pick-up notes. The only other thing our left hand has to do, once it's finished its rests for the rest of that first bar, is play a little C chord. Little finger, third finger and thumb on C, E and G. 1, 2, 3, and a rest. Remember, that's a dotted minim chord, and dotted minims last for 3 beats. 1, 2, 3, and then a rest on beat 4. So have a pause and have a play of your left and your right hands separately. Pop in your crescendos and make sure you count the ands for your right hand. Let's all put line 1 hands together nice and slowly. 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. One more time. 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3, 4 and. You have a turn. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and. Good. Let's do one together. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3, 4 and. Good. Have a pause and have a play of your left and right hands together in that first line. Let's have a look at line 2. We'll start with the right hand because that looks like where all the action is. We've got our second finger on the D. It looks like we're playing 3 of those. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. In the next bar, D again. 1 and 2. Now the left hand takes over. And 3 and 4. Again, much more straightforward when we've got this alternating playing right hand followed by left hand or the other way around to play it all in one go. I'll do that again from the beginning. 1 and 2, 3 and 4 and 1 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, 4. You can also see with these lovely detached notes that I'm taking real advantage of the fact that I can relax my wrists right into those notes and soften the sound. Let's do one together. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... Good. If you have a look at the left hand, you can see that it's really just doing one thing in that first bar on that line. We've got a C and an F and an A played with our little finger, our second finger and our thumb, and we're holding that down for the whole bar. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we've got nothing in the next bar. They haven't written a rest or anything, but we won't play anything, we won't hold that. And then our left hand comes in on beat 3 in that second bar. I'll do that again. 1, 2, 3, 4, off, 2, 3, 4. So putting that all together, we'd have something like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... If you have a look in that line, you can see that we've also got a decrescendo at the end of that little line, again at the end of a phrase mark, showing off that we're rounding out that shape of a phrase and getting a little bit softer before we get going into the next one. Something like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, 4. So have a pause and have a play of that second line, hands together. We've only got that chord happening in the left hand, not too bad. Make sure that you include the decrescendo in that second bar and count all of your ands. And then have a go at playing line 1 and line 2, and here's the lovely surprise. Line 3 is exactly the same as line 1, so you'll be able to have a go at line 1, line 2 and line 3. Off you go. Let's have a look at this last line. We'll do the right hand first. We've got a couple of D's at the start. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 in the last bar. Middle C, middle C and middle C. I'll do that again. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. Let's have a look at the other things that are going on in that line. We've got second time ritardando written in. Now we've got repeat dots, so we need to play this little tune twice through. So the second time that we play this tune through, when we come to the end, we can slow down the tune towards the end so that everyone knows that it's finishing. Ritardando is the Italian term used to indicate that we'll need to play gradually slower. In that last bar we've got a decrescendo, again showing that we're coming to a little bit of an end of a phrase, and over those last notes we've got a C in the left, middle C in the right, we've got that semicircle with a dot in the middle, also known as a pause or a fermata in Italian, and that just means that we can hold on to those last notes as long as you want to. You'll also notice in that last bar that we've only got 3 crotchets when each bar should have 4 crotchets. The rest of that bar is the pickup note at the beginning. So altogether the last bar plus the pickup note make our 4 crotchet beats. You have a go at playing the right hand in that last line. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, 4. I'll have another go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, 4. I should mention that that pause at the end probably only applies to the second time through. It would be a bit odd to hold on to that for a really long time before you did the repeat. The tune probably needs to keep moving through the first time, then the second time, and then at the very end you can pause and hang on to that for as long as you like. Let's have a look at the left hand. In the first bar of that last line, we've got our F chord again, or C with our little finger, F with our pointer, A with our thumb. 1, 2, just for the first 2 beats. Then we're going to move our fingers a little bit. We're going to take our thumb down to the G, our second finger can stay on the F, and our little pinky will move down to our B. And we'll hold that for 3, 4. The little movement is this: 1, 2, 3, 4, and then finally we're on a C chord in the last bar. 1, back to the F chord, 2, 3. So there's quite a bit happening in the left hand. You'll probably need to practice that a little bit to get used to the movements from the F to the G7 to the C, back to the F, and then back to the C. If those chord names don't mean anything to you at the moment, don't worry, that will be something that we'll be covering in future lessons. I'll do the left hand again one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. You have a turn. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's do it together. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Excellent. Have a pause and have a play of your right hand and your left hand separately in that line. Make sure you include the decrescendo and have a go at hanging on to the pause for our last time through. Let's do our last line, 2 hands together. I'll do it nice and slowly to start with, and then we'll do a couple together. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, 4. You have a turn. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, 4. Let's do one together. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, 4. You'll notice that even though we didn't have any quavers in that line, I still counted the ands. It's a good idea to keep the ands in for as long as you need to until you've got the rhythm and you're fairly familiar with the tune. Then you can drop out the ands altogether and just count the main beats. Have a pause and have a play of putting the last line together, 2 hands, and then have a go at playing the whole thing. Make sure that you include the dynamics, count your ands, and do the repeat. Now would be a great time to pause and play and review some of your music from previous lessons just to keep them fresh, in case someone asks you to play for them. That's it for this lesson. Make sure that you feel completely comfortable with the skills that we've looked at today before moving on. Next lesson we're going to have some great fun playing an old gospel tune.